Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Conversation Podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Daniel. We are so happy to have you here with us today for another practical lesson.
Daniel, today we are tackling perhaps the most common, the most inevitable, and sometimes the most dreadful question in the English language.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
The classic conversation starter. So, what do you do?
Yes, the question that everyone asks within 5 minutes of meeting you.
Exactly. And Daniel, be honest with me. When you meet someone new, maybe at a party or a networking event, and they ask you that, do you ever feel a little bit bored by your own answer?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. It sounds like such a simple question, right? But when you are doing it in a second language, it feels high pressure.
Right.
It is so easy to just panic and do the basic thing. You just say, I am an accountant, or I am a teacher. And honestly, that kind of kills the conversation right there.
It really does. Just giving a title doesn't tell people who you really are or what you're actually responsible for every day. But listeners, it doesn't have to be that way. Today, we are going to fix that.
Yes, we are going to help you move beyond just giving your job title. We want you to sound professional, dynamic, and confident when you talk about your career.
We're going to ditch weak words like I do things or I make plans and give you strong professional vocabulary.
Sounds great. Sarah, give us the roadmap. What are we covering today?
Okay, so first we will give you 3 easy formulas to describe the bigger picture of your industry.
Then we're going to share power verbs to describe your actual daily responsibilities.
We will also teach you phrases to honestly discuss your feelings about work, the good and the bad, and how to talk about your future career goals.
And as always, stick around until the end because I have some essential office idioms that will make you sound like a native speaker by the water cooler.
It is a packed episode today. Let's get to work. Okay, let's start with the most basic mistake. Daniel, what is the first thing most English learners say when someone asks, what do you do?
They almost always use the pattern, I am a plus job title, like I am a nurse or I am an engineer.
Right. And is that grammatically correct?
Yes, it is perfectly correct. But it's a conversation stopper. It's boring.
Exactly. It doesn't give the other person any new information to ask a follow-up question. So, we want to give you 3 better formulas that open up the conversation.
Let's look at formula number 1. This is great for giving the big picture.
The formula is I work in plus industry or field.
This is fantastic because instead of just saying, I am a programmer, you can say, I work in tech.
Yes, that sounds so much more dynamic. Or instead of I am an accountant, you can say I work in finance.
Other examples could be, I work in healthcare, or I work in digital marketing, or I work in education.
See? Suddenly, the other person can ask, oh, tech. That's interesting. What kind of tech? It starts a conversation.
Now, let's look at formula number 2. This one's great if the place you work is interesting or important.
The formula is I work for plus company type or name.
So, if you work for Google, you can just say, I work for Google. That's easy.
But maybe your company isn't famous. You can describe the type of company.
For example, I work for a small tech startup, or I work for a large nonprofit organization.
Exactly. This gives context about your work environment, which is often more interesting than just your title.
And finally, formula number 3. This one is perfect if your job involves helping people or using specific tools.
The formula is I work with plus people or objects.
So a social worker might say, I work with at-risk youth.
Or a data analyst could say, I work with big data and statistics.
So, Sarah, let's put these together. If someone asks you, what do you do? How would you answer using these new formulas?
Hmm, I might combine them. I'd say, well, I work in online education. I work for a small media company that creates podcasts for English learners.
That is infinitely better than just saying, I am a podcaster.
It really is. Okay, so you've given the big picture. Now they want the details. They want to know your responsibilities.
And that is where we need some power verbs. Let's look at those in part 2.
Okay, so you've given the big picture of your industry. Now the other person is interested. They ask, oh, that sounds cool. What does your typical day look like?
This is where you need to talk about your responsibilities. And Sarah, this is where I hear the biggest mistake.
What's that?
People use weak verbs. They say things like, I do reports, or I make plans, or I check things.
Yeah, those words are okay, but they don't sound professional. You sound like a student, not a manager.
Exactly. To sound capable and professional, we need what I call power verbs.
I love power verbs. Let's give our listeners some upgrades. I will give you a weak phrase, Daniel, and you give me the professional version.
Ready.
Weak phrase number 1. I lead a team.
That's okay, but it's better to say, I manage a team, or I supervise a team of 5 people.
Much stronger. Next weak phrase, I talk to clients.
Upgrade that to, I handle client communication, or I manage key client relationships.
Handle is a great verb for work. It means you take care of a situation.
Definitely. Okay, next one. I make new things, or I plan things.
Use verbs like I develop strategies, I create new products, or I organize projects.
And finally, what if your job is to look for mistakes? The weak way is, I check reports.
The professional way is I review reports, or even better, I analyze data.
Review and analyze. Those are fantastic words for your resume, too.
Okay, so now that we have these power verbs, how do we put them into a sentence?
The best formula to use is, I am responsible for plus verb ing.
So instead of saying I train new employees, you say,
I am responsible for training new employees.
it just sounds more official, doesn't it?
It really does. It emphasizes that it is your duty, not just something you do.
Okay, Daniel, let's do a quick role play. I'm going to ask you about your day, and I want you to use some of these new power verbs.
Okay, hit me.
So, Daniel, you work in podcasting. What does a typical day look like for you?
Well, it varies, but generally, I'm responsible for developing new episode topics. Then I organize the recording schedule with our hosts. And finally, I review and edit the final audio files before we publish.
Wow, you sound very important.
It's all about the vocabulary, Sarah.
It really is. Okay, so we know what you do, but now it's time for the honest part of the conversation. How do you actually feel about your job?
Ooh, the juicy part. Let's talk about that in part 3. Okay, Sarah, this is where the conversation gets real. You've explained what you do, and now they ask the big question. Do you like your job?
This can be tricky. You don't want to just say, yes, it's good, or no, I hate it.
Exactly. Especially in a professional setting, saying, I hate my job is too negative. You want to express nuance.
So let's look at some professional phrases for positive feelings and some polite phrases for negative feelings.
Sarah, start us off with the positives. What if you really love your work?
My favorite phrase is, I find it very rewarding.
Rewarding. That's a great word. It means it feels good in your heart to do it.
Exactly. You often hear teachers, nurses, or social workers say this. It's hard work, but I find it very rewarding to help people.
What's another positive one?
If your job is difficult, but in a good way, you can say, it's challenging, but I learn something new every day.
That is the perfect professional answer. It shows you aren't lazy, you like a challenge, and you value growth.
And finally, what if the work is boring, but the benefits are amazing?
You can say the perks are great.
Perks are the extra benefits, like free lunch, flexible hours, a company car, or good health insurance. Okay, Daniel, now for the dark side. What if you don't like your job? How do you say that politely?
Well, the classic polite complaint is it can be quite stressful at times.
That's a safe thing to say. Everyone understands stress.
But here is a very common modern phrase, especially since the pandemic. If you are working too hard and you are totally exhausted, you say, I'm feeling a bit burnt out.
Burnt out. That is such an important phrase right now. It means you have no energy left for the job.
And finally, what if the job is just a dead end? There is no way to get promoted.
The professional way to say that is, there isn't much room for growth.
That is much better than saying, my job is a dead end.
Okay, let's practice these nuanced answers. Daniel, I'm going to ask you if you like your job. Give me a realistic, balanced answer.
Okay.
So, Daniel, you're a podcast producer. Do you enjoy it?
Honestly, most days I love it. I find it very rewarding when we hear from listeners who learn something new.
That sounds great.
However, when we have a tight deadline, it can be quite stressful at times. But overall, the good outweighs the bad.
See, that is a perfect, mature, native level answer. It's not just black and white.
Exactly. Okay, so you've talked about your current job. Now it's time to look ahead. How do we talk about ambition and future goals?
That is a great topic for networking or interviews.
All right, you've covered what you do and how you feel about it. Now for the final piece of the professional puzzle, the future.
This is crucial vocabulary for networking events, or if your boss asks you, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
That question always makes me nervous.
It does, but if you have the right phrases, it's easy. We need to talk about two things: growth, staying in your field, and change, doing something new.
Let's start with growth. If you want to stay in your current company or industry, but you want a better position.
The most common phrase, and this is a great idiom, is I'm looking to climb the career ladder.
Climb the career ladder. That means moving up step by step to higher positions.
Exactly. Another great professional phrase is I want to take on more responsibility.
This is a fantastic thing to say to your boss. It shows you are ambitious and ready for a challenge.
And finally, the most direct way. I'm working towards a promotion.
Simple and clear. I'm a junior manager now, but I'm working towards a promotion to senior manager.
Okay. But what if you hate your industry and you want to do something totally different?
Then you are looking for a career change.
Right. You can say, I'm actually looking for a career change right now. I'm exploring options in new field.
Or what about the big dream, working for yourself?
You can say, eventually, I'd like to go freelance.
Go freelance. That means working for yourself and having multiple clients.
Or, the biggest ambition of all, my long-term goal is to start my own business.
Okay, Sarah, let's put this into a practice scenario. Imagine we are at a networking event.
Okay.
So, Sarah, you're doing great in online education. Do you plan on staying in that field?
Definitely. I really enjoy it. Right now, I'm looking to take on more responsibility in content strategy, and eventually, I'd hope to climb the career ladder into a director role.
Wow, that sounds like a solid plan.
Thanks. See, it just sounds confident and prepared.
It really does. Okay, listeners, you have the vocabulary for the whole journey, from your daily tasks to your future dreams.
But before we go, we need to sprinkle in a little bit of native speaker flavor.
That's right. It's time for my favorite segment, Work Idioms. All right, Sarah. We've covered the professional formulas, the power verbs, and the ambitious goals. But to really sound natural at the office, you need a few idioms.
I agree. Using the right idiom at the right time shows you're comfortable with the language. It adds a bit of native speaker flavor.
Exactly. So, we have picked 3 essential work idioms that you will hear in almost any English-speaking office. Sarah, kick us off with the first one.
Okay, idiom number 1 is perfect for anyone starting a new job. It is to learn the ropes.
To learn the ropes. This comes from sailing, right? Like learning which ropes control the sails?
Exactly. But in an office, it simply means to learn the basics of how to do a job.
So it's not about mastering it, just understanding the basic tasks.
Right. For example, on your first day, your boss might say, don't worry about making mistakes yet. Just focus on learning the ropes for this week.
That's a great one. It takes the pressure off. Okay. Idiom number 2 is one I use probably too often. It is to have a lot on your plate.
Oh, I hear this one constantly. What does it mean, Daniel?
It means you are very busy and have many responsibilities. Imagine your dinner plate is piled so high with food that you can't add anything else.
That is a perfect visual. So, if your boss asks you to take on a new project, but you are already drowning in work, how do you say no politely?
You could say, I would love to help, but I really have a lot on my plate right now with the quarterly reports.
It's a very professional way to say I'm too busy. And finally, idiom number 3. This is the best one because it means work is over.
Yes. The phrase is to call it a day.
This simply means to stop working and go home.
You usually say this when you have finished a reasonable amount of work or when you're just too tired to continue.
Right. You might look at the clock at 6 p.m. and say to your colleagues, all right, everyone, we've done good work today. Let's call it a day.
Music to my ears.
So there you have it. Learn the ropes, handle what's on your plate, and then call it a day.
Perfect. Now, let's wrap this whole episode up and get you practicing.
Wow, Daniel, we covered a lot of ground today.
We really did. We went from boring job titles to industry formulas, power verbs, expressing feelings, career goals, and idioms.
If you've been listening closely, your professional vocabulary just got a massive upgrade.
Absolutely. No more panicking at parties when someone asks, "What do you do?" You are ready.
But, Daniel, we always say this.
Knowing the words is one thing, using them is another.
Exactly. You have to practice getting these phrases out of your mouth. You need to build that muscle memory.
So don't just listen to this episode once. Listen again. Pause it and repeat the phrases out loud. Practice your own answers in front of a mirror.
It feels silly, but it works.
Now, before we call it a day, we have our question of the day for you.
Yes, we want to hear from you in the comments.
We want you to practice one of the new formulas we taught you. Tell us about your job.
You can use the pattern, I work in industry, or I am responsible for verbing.
For example, you could comment, "Hi, I'm Maria. I work in healthcare, and I'm responsible for managing patient records."
It's the perfect way to practice immediately. We read every single comment, and we can't wait to see what you do.
And if you found this episode helpful for your career, please give it a thumbs up and share it with a colleague or friend who is also learning English.
Don't forget to subscribe to the English Conversation podcast so you don't miss our next lesson. We have some great topics planned.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Get back to work, keep practicing, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.